Hello there and welcome to this Bolt Action 3rd edition battle report. So today I'm playing through another one of the scenarios from the Battle of the Bulge campaign book that Warlord Games produce. It does say 2nd edition on there, so it was brought out for 2nd edition, but you can perfectly play it well with the 3rd edition rules. Lots of the scenarios have got nice little special rules as well, which you can incorporate into the games. I've already played 2 of the scenarios on the channel, so we had the Sonvit Battle and Elsinbor Ridge. But today is probably one of the most famous parts of the Battle of the Bulge, the Bastogne, the defence of Bastogne. So if you've watched the Band of Brothers mini-series, you'll have seen a couple of the episodes were dedicated to that battle. And it's one of the most famous ones, I think, in terms of history and literature, etc. So, for this particular game, you can decide whether the Americans or the Germans are attacking. In the previous 2 scenarios, the Germans have been on the offensive, obviously, being the Battle of the Bulge. They're pushing through the Ardennes. But for this particular scenario, it does give you option to have either side as attacker or defender. So I thought just mix it up a little bit and get the Americans into the attack. And the premise for that is that maybe they're counter-attacking on the fringes of Bastogne, just trying to catch the Germans a little bit unawares in a lull in the battle or something. So just to give it a bit of a mix-up for the game. So what I'll do now, I'll quickly go over to the forces and then I'll come back and show you a bit more of the battlefield and some of the special rules for the game. Right, so here's the German force for today's battle. This is 1,585 points. I'm using the new Armies of Germany book as well, so these are all from that in terms of the points and the units makeups. But I'm leaning heavily into the new Fallschirmjäger models that have been out a few months now. I think they're brilliant. I really like these. Great poses, lots of options in terms of arms, heads, equipment, etc. So you can really make it a quite unique force for each squad. I've noticed as well that these are getting a little bit bigger now, so the actual models are slightly larger than previous ones. If you compare them to some of the metal miniatures, they're slightly bigger, which I think is just about that little bit of scale creep to get the detailing they want. But yeah, really impressed with these. Look really good. And I'm imagining that these were kind of preparing to attack and have been caught napping with the counter-attack from the Americans. So these were some of the elite forces ready to launch their own attack. So what we got today, we've got a company commander, again all Fallschirmjäger, so these are all veterans and stubborn. And he's got a pistol. I'm just going to move him out of the way because so I can keep the focus on the troops. Platoon commander with again SMG, veteran, stubborn. And then all the 3 identical squads. I've leaned heavily into the assault rifles. So you've got the sergeant and then 4 assault rifles. Then you've got a trusty LMG, and then we've got 4 rifles, 1 being the loader, and that's repeated across each squad. And as you can see, you get a really nice bit of difference across everybody. If you see a Panzerfaust in there, I'm not using them in this game, so they're just modelled on for the purpose of other things I might want to do. But so that's the 3 squads there of Fallschirmjäger. Then they're supported by their heavy weapons platoon again, or Fallschirmjäger. These are the new models again. So we've got platoon commander, and we've got 1 MMG, so basically MG42 on a tripod, a medium mortar and spotter, and then another MMG. And then they've also got some Wehrmacht colleagues in support. So I can imagine these are already in place or something in the defensive position as the Fallschirmjägers are moving up into the attack. So we've got a light howitzer here. So these are all regular. Platoon commander regular, and then we've got a Pak 40 with a regular crew as well. So bit of fire support. And then we've got the trusty Panther tank, the Panzer 5. He's also the command tank for the game. Really like the Panther, very strong. You get the reinforced armour at the front, so though it's a medium tank, you get that 10 plus armour on the front. And then you've got the Puma armoured car there really, so it's got the light AT gun on it and the MMG. So that's the German force for today. That's say 1,585 points. So let's see what the Americans are. Oh, just before I go forward as well, the previous scenarios have been weighted, so each side had a different points level. So the Germans actually ended up with more points for because they're attacking. This particular scenario, it's equal points. So though the Americans are attacking, the points are equal across the board. Anyway, so let's see what the Americans are bringing to the party. Right, so this is the American force for today's battle. So I've gone for a bit of a mixed force. In my head, this is basically the Americans have pulled together a bit of a scratch force of different units to try and just do a bit of a counter-attack on the German lines, to try and alleviate some pressure for themselves around Bastogne. But also I bought these models, so I wanted to use them. So there's the main reason. So what we've got here, I bought this bundle at Christmas. I'm filming this in March 2025. So I bought these Christmas 24 in a bundle from Warlord. They're doing this kind of airborne collection. So these are basically some in Warlord resin and some older metal models. But I think they look really cool. So I thought I'd give these a go. So we've also got, so basically company commander, again airborne, so veteran, stubborn, very similar to the Germans in that respect. And then we've got a platoon commander here, just moving out the way so I can keep focus. This is actually the Lieutenant Ronald Spears model that you can get from Warlord, special model edition. So he's not actually Spears for today, but again, it's pretty cool. So he's in there with the SMG. And then what I bought was these two squads. So you've got a Pathfinder squad, which are the guys at the front here. So these will be dropped in first, basically to secure the drop zones and be the vanguard, I guess, for American forces. And then behind it is an airborne squad. Now, interestingly, because obviously the army book for America is not out yet, so I'm using the points and the loadouts that you can get from the 3rd edition rule book. But in the campaign book, it does give you these squads. These squads exist in the campaign book, so I'm convinced they'll be in the Armies of America book, and they're bound to be because A, they released the models, and B, they've been in books before. So I've pointed these up using the loadout that they've got. So if you look at the Pathfinders, you've got Sergeant SMG, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 further SMGs. So 6 SMGs. You can't actually find that in the main rule book, but it's in the campaign book. And I'm sure they're not selling models that won't be included in the Armies of America book. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 SMGs, and then 4 rifles in the Pathfinders. Again, all airborne stubborn veterans. And then similar loadout for the airborne squad. You've got you've got sergeant, then 1, 2, 3, 4 SMGs, but you do get a BAR in that squad, and then 4 rifles at the back. So that's the kind of airborne platoon, and they're supported by airborne. We've got a light mortar team. I'll be interested to see how they get on, because obviously you can move and shoot, which is always quite fun. And then got a bazooka team as well, and they're all airborne. So that's your kind of airborne contingent with the platoon commander and the overall company commander. So they're kind of the elite. And particularly with these very SMG heavy squads, and realistically they need to be getting into combat. Got a lot of short range firepower and getting the tough fighters re-rolls for their combat. So these guys will be trying to race up the field and get into combat with their Fallschirmjäger counterparts. And then we've got some regular troops. This is mixed force, as I said. So again, platoon commander, and these are all regular US Army. These are the older metal models that, if you watch the other battle reports, I've already said I still like them. And I basically painted all these up prior to the release of the new edition. I had no idea it was going to be the Battle of the Bulge. I was very excited by that, but obviously I was also a bit disappointed because I've already painted up 30 plus Americans and didn't want to buy all the plastic new ones, do it all again. So, but I think these look okay. I mean, basically you've got the same pose across 3 squads, but if you do them, if you just paint them slightly differently and just, you can't really tell what's on the battlefield. I still think they hold up. Again, slightly smaller than the newer models, but good nonetheless. But these are regulars, just US Army, and then we've got their heavy weapons platoon as well, which again is US Army, although we have got some of the newer models on here. So we've got, I think that's that unit's there, the heavy machine gun. You've got a medium mortar spotter, and you've got the medium machine gun. So a bit of firepower there. And then we've got, first time for this campaign for the Americans, got some tanks. We've got a couple of Shermans on the board. So we've just got a standard M4 with the medium anti-tank and MMGs, etc. But also got the upgraded 76mm gun on this one. So this is the heavy anti-tank gun. So yes, nice to see the Americans got a bit of armour coming into the battle. So that's the force for today. I say that's 1,594 points. Okay, so let's go over back to the battlefield. Just show you some of the rules for the particular scenario, and then we can get on with the game. Right, so let's go over the scenario and the terrain. So for the scenario itself, so the Germans will be deploying in this zone here, a 12-inch zone here. They can have units in reserve as well. And in terms of the objectives, the Americans will be deploying and coming onto the board on this side here. So the Germans score points at 6-turn game. You can roll for a 7th turn. And they get 1 point for every one of their units that are in this 12-inch zone at the end of the game. and 1 point for every American unit they destroy. And for the Americans, they get 2 points for every unit in that 12-inch zone. So really incentivise the Americans to push hard, get into that deployment zone. I'm sure there's going to be quite a lot of melee and action towards the end there. In terms of the terrain, anything where you've got the trees clumped together here, that's all dense terrain, otherwise you can't draw a line of sight through it. Plus these are ruins, but again, treating these as dense terrain in terms of line of sight. So if your unit's inside, you can see out and see in, but if you're this side, you can't see through. The single trees will just be light cover, so that's really just the terrain. There are some special rules for the game, so you've got, poor weather, so there's no forward observers allowed, no aircraft cover, so that's why there's none in the lists. There's chaos on the reserves, so when you bring units on from reserve, it's normally -1 to your roll, to your command roll, although interestingly the Americans have got a special rule which gets rid of that, so, but it's an additional -1, so they will be getting that if they bring in any reserves. For the Germans that would be -2, it's interesting. You've got a rule which basically means that I won't say because it's a bit of bad language in the book, but there you go. It's one of those where it's the battered bees of Bastogne, and basically for every time an American unit wants to fire, you have to roll a d6. On a roll of a 1, they haven't got any ammunition. Interestingly, that's just showing their shortage of supplies. And similarly for the Germans, they've got fuel shortages. This is one of the Achilles heel for the Germans at this stage of the war. So I've had to roll for each tank in the German force. So they both, weirdly, I rolled quite high. So they both get 6 fuel points. So effectively, every time they move, they expend a fuel point. When they've run out of fuel, they can't move, and they're considered to be stranded. Basically, they can still fire, obviously, but they're stuck in that position. But I did roll fairly high, so they both got 6 points actually of fuel. So should be alright for this game, particularly because they're on the defensive. So yeah, that's okay. Any other particular rules to go over? There is a preparatory bombardment, so the Germans will deploy first, obviously putting any units in reserve, and then the US get a preparatory bombardment before we kick off. I think, oh yes, there's one more thing to do. So it's quite a nice little bit in the scenario about chaplains. So I know chaplains are a thing. If you look in the Armies of Germany book, you can have a chaplain now. Chaplains basically give you opportunity to remove pins from units. The chaplains are actually in the Battle of the Bulge campaign book. Similar rules. And for this particular scenario, it does say you can roll off, and whichever side gets the highest score, you get a free chaplain. So why don't we do that? So green dice, American, grey, German. So the Germans will get a free chaplain into their side. Okay, so yeah, good. Right, let's. I'll get the deployment done, and then we'll get on with the preparatory bombardment. Right, so that's the German deployment completed. So we've got the spotter over on this flank here. These little markers just say they're dug in. So these all basically can start the game dug in. So they're going to get basically their counters being down for the purpose of the game. Obviously, they move from that, they lose that. Got the Pack 40 just covering the road, and also it's got line of sight through between the building and the trees there. So it's covering that position there. We've got a platoon commander here for the weapons platoon. We've got the light howitzer, so again it's got some line of sight across the board here. Doesn't come with a spotter, but can use a spotter, so again it could be useful for some potential HE rounds through indirect fire. Then we've got one of the MMG teams here. Just remember, they are in a 12-inch zone, so I'm not able to get up into some of these buildings yet, so we're just behind the hill here. Then we've got the medium mortar team, sorry, just behind the trees here. And we've got the platoon commander for the heavy weapons platoon, and you've got the other MMG on this flank here. So that's the Germans deployed. So I'm just going to do the preparatory bombardment, can't even say it. I'll do that off camera because it can be a little bit lengthy, so I'll just do that and then come back and show you the results. Right, so the US bombardment is over, the smoke is clearing, and what do we see? So we've got 2 pins down on this MMG team. This platoon commander's very, very lucky, rolled a 6, so would take a +3 pen hit. So I wasn't hopefully survived, but I then rolled a 1 for the damage, so just takes the 2 pins, so very lucky boy. 2 on the mortar team, these guys escaped any pins, 1 on the platoon commander, 1 on the Pack 40 and 1 on the observer. So not too bad for the Germans, no units destroyed, a few pins scattered around, but also this command infrastructure down here with the platoon commander, that's possibly crucial particularly as they want to try and get rid of these pins as soon as possible. So let's go over to the bag and get on with the game. Turn 1. Right, so just jumping back into the action part way through turn 1. Actually quite a long way through it now actually. A lot of the German units have gone down because they were in reserve. But in terms of the American deployments, so we've got the airborne units have been coming on this right flank. So we've got the airborne unit here on the right, and the Pathfinder unit just moved up the inside the cover there, and the platoon commander. So they're obviously coming onto this right flank, which at the moment is obviously nothing there at the moment, so it feels like an opportunity there. Centre-wise, the light mortar just ran on and set up behind this building. And the bazooka team also ran on here to this left flank. And then we've got 2 units from the army units that have come on, and that's triggered a ambush fire from the Pack 40, so we'll just come back for that in a second. In terms of the Germans, obviously this is not in sequence, it's just doing a summary of how the dice have come out. So if you remember, there was an MMG team over here. So the first dice out was actually German, so this platoon commander rallied and did his snap to action, rallied the mortar team, gave these guys a run order to try and get into the building, and they foobarred. I couldn't believe it. So now it's an interesting one because being a fixed weapon, they were facing this direction. So on a 1 to 3, you can basically, the controlling player can then fire at a unit, one of its obviously friendly units. But because it's a fixed weapon, it couldn't fire. You can't turn it. That will be an advance order. So it just says a fire order. So basically, if you can't have any targets, then you have to basically panic. So they obviously panicked, and they're only 12 inches on the board. They can run 12 inches off the board, so they went off the board. So yeah, not a great start for the Germans, but anyway, we moved on. These haven't had any orders yet, and down to this Pack 40 that was on ambush. Lost its pin marker when it had the ambush order. So now it's seen that unit run across, it's going to fire. I mean, ideally it's there for tanks, but with all this cover, I'm assuming the Americans won't want to try and get into the sights of that Pack 40 too soon. So Pack 40 is going to go for it. It's going to fire it down the road. Let's see what happens. Right, so it's a 4 to hit. It's a HE round. Let's see how we get on. Misses. Okay, so those whistles over the heads of the Americans running across the road. Okay, so let's get back to the bag and continue turn 1. Well, straight back into the action because this next dice was German, so pulled out a fire order for this light howitzer. So with the spotter down here, there you can also see that unit there. So I'm just going to do an indirect shot across to them. Just going to need that 6. I've put the marker down there, so we're just going to need a 6. Nope. Okay, so that's going to try and range in for the next turn. Okay, so back to the bag. So again, back to the action. Another, I think this might be the last German dice actually. So this medium machine gun team is going to fire down at that unit there. It has got line of sight across the hill, but that unit will be getting cover from the building. So with Hitler's buzzsaw, medium machine guns get 7 shots, so very nice. So these are going to be hitting on 4s. So that is 5 hits, and then they're going to be damaging, wounding on 4s because these are firing at regular troops. Just 2, but they will be getting 2 4-up saves for the cover. Save them both, but they do get a pin marker. So lots of fire coming against that unit, maybe regretting running across the road now, but at least they're surviving to date. Okay, so let's back to the bag. Okay, so that's the end of turn 1. So all the American units are now on the table. There was one last German dice actually, it was for the platoon commander over there who's just rallied. But we've finished the turn with a shot from the 76mm, but I'll come back to that. So we've done this side, so the machine guns have come on, so the medium machine guns here, heavy machine gun here. These both ran on. This tank came up on a run order, managed to scoot round this corner here just to come out of line of sight of the Pack 40 for next turn, just in case. Then we've got one of the platoon commanders here, squads come on the centre, medium mortar, and the 2 squads on the left flank here with the platoon commander and the company commanders over in here, just trying to spread the command bubble across the force, which is what you want to do in 3rd edition. You want to get those snap to actions and those command modifiers. But this was the last unit on, so it's going to fire across at that light howitzer. It is down because it's dug in. So max is going to be 2 hits. It is in range. It's a heavy anti-tank gun firing a HE shell, but they've also got a bit of cover from the hill, so they'll be saving on 2s. So let me just come back and do that, and we'll finish the turn. Right, so we'll do the HE round. The medium machine gun on the hull is also just in range as well, so they'll be getting 3 shots from that. You halve it being a vehicle. So we'll do the HE round first. So it's going to need a 5 because it's moved, so -1. Oh, it does hit though. Okay, good shot. So it does cover all 3, but because they're down, it gets halved and rounded up back to 2. It's +2 pens, so they are regulars, so they're going to need 2s to damage. Just the 1. And then they will get a 2-up cover save, as I say, because they are down, because they're dug in, and they're getting the cover modifier from, I'm giving them hard cover from the hill, so that's 4 plus 2 becomes a 2. Would you believe it? Okay, so they have taken a casualty, and also D2 pins. 1 pin. So there's 1 pin and a casualty, so some damage. Oh, got to do the machine gun as well, haven't I? So far, 1 killed, so we'll do the MMG next, so again hitting on 5s. Well, that's good shooting from the machine gunner as well. 2 saves, 2 up. Do make them. Okay, so just the D2, the 1 pin coming across and 1 casualty. Okay, so I'll mark all that up, but that's the end of turn 1. So the Americans have showed their hand. Clearly a big right hand push here with the elite airborne veterans. You've got also support from the Shermans coming on this right flank. Centre, got a mixture of basically the regular troops and supporting arms basically. So Americans have pretty much showed their hand now. A lot of Germans to come onto the board in the second turn. So let's see how we get on for turn 2. Right, so it's top of turn 2. First dice out was German. So this platoon commander here called a snap to action. So he's just moved up himself a bit more to the cover. He's given the Pack 40 a fire order, targeting the heavy machine gun, the 50 cal, who have gone down. They're obviously trying to make it into that building, but going to be coming to fire from the Pack 40 because it's got no line of sight against anything else. And then gave the howitzer a fire order as well. It did pass its order, so lost its pin marker. Was debating whether to shoot back at the Sherman. It can't damage it, but it could put a pin on it. But I think because it's zeroing in onto this unit here, who are just still within its minimum range, because its minimum range is 30, which is just that front man, so the squad's still in its range, but soon will be out of range, so only direct fire. So I've decided to continue to fire at that unit. It's not going to go down. The Americans really need to push across the battlefield, so bit of a risk maybe, but we'll see how we get on. So we'll do that one first. We're going to need that 5, because obviously it was indirect fire, so it needs a 5 on this turn. No, so it misses. And then we've got the Pack 40 needing a 4 on the fire order. That does hit. It does do, because it basically covers all 4 guys there. So rounding up, it's going to be 2 for damage, 2 casualties. So we've got +2 pens, so these are going to be 2s. So that does kill 2 of them. So yes, that unit's been badly affected there. Okay, so we'll go back to the bag. Right, so the Americans got to dice out the bag. So the company commander called a snap and is pushed on this left flank hard. So this unit's moved up behind here on a run order. These are basically running through the middle on a run order. Yes, they could come under fire, but they need to be pushing hard and try and get some of this cover around the German positions. And then over here was the bazooka team was here. They've also made a run order into this ruin here. And then the final order, because you get 4 additional orders, was for the mortar team here to fire. So using the spotter, which is here, nice line of sight up to the Pack 40. So let's see how that gets on. It's going to need a 6 to hit because it's in direct fire. No, but obviously trying to range in there. Okay, so let's get back to the bag. So next dice out with German. So this mortar team's been given a fire order from the spotter over here, who's looking down at that unit there. There's not a lot of static units for it to fire at, so I might just give it a bit of a lucky shot maybe. So he's going to need that 6. No, that's a 4, so that's a miss, but he's ranging in on that unit. Okay, so let's go back to the bag. Okay, so American dice out the bag. So this side here, this platoon commander called a snap. So the airborne unit has raced up here on a run order. This unit, the Pathfinders, because we're in the on the trees there, that's rough ground moving through, so they could only get an advance order, but they've come through. He's just moved up there to keep that support going, so really pushing hard on this right flank whilst there's not a lot going on. And then this Sherman came out next, so it's just pulled up a bit, swiveled, It's going to shoot across at the MMG team. So it's got its medium anti-tank gun. So that's going to be hitting on a 5. And again, they are down because they are dug in. So the maximum damage is going to be on 2. We've got hit first, and also got the MMG from the hole. So 5 up because they've moved. This is the medium anti-tank. That does hit as well. Good shooting. The Americans are on fire today. So again, now they are veterans, so it's going to be 3 to damage because it's plus 2 pen. But it does damage both guys there. They are getting that 2 up cover save though again because they're just behind the hill and they've got the down order from being dug in. So don't roll 1s basically. And there you go. So another 1. So that is another killed, or 1 killed off that unit. And then we got D2 pins and 2 pins as well. So casualty and 2 pins. Then we've got the MMG. So again hitting on 5s. Just the 1. I think I forgot to roll the damage earlier, but it didn't really matter. But so it's going to be a 5 up because they are veterans. It does wound, but they are getting that 2 up cover, which they make. So just the 1 casualty and the 2 pins. Right, back to the bag. Okay, so another American dice. So Americans really dominating the dice bag at the moment. And again, another snap to action. So although you get a lot of dice, much more dice in the 3rd edition, with the various snap to actions, you get a lot more movement around. So this guy called a snap gave this unit a run order. So they're going to have joined this advance on the left now, all across the centre. Just moved up himself there, and then ordered the light mortar team to move into the building and on an advance order, so they can still shoot because they're not a fixed weapon, and they're going to target up the road at the Pack 40 as well. So it's a bit of a long shot, 6 up, but we'll see how we get on. Indirect fire. No. Okay, but again, another thing ranging in on that Pack 40 that's in that really awkward position there. Okay, so back to the bag. Okay, so a lot of German dice have now come out of the bag. So all the infantry's now come on. They've been really rolling very well for their reserve moves. Helps their veterans, I guess. So they're needing 8s because you -2 off their 10. But I've been rolling it, so it's fine. So this unit's just come here, just behind the dense terrain here. This unit's come over here. We've also got the platoon commander. So definitely a hard counter now. There's definitely this flank looked very exposed. But now we've got basically full scrum Jaeger versus airborne coming up. That medium machine gun just moved up onto the hill there. Over this side, you can see the 2 ranging in markers. If you wonder what the different dice colours are, just so I know which unit's firing at whom. So the yellow is the medium mortar and the blue is the light mortar there, just so I know who's who. And then we've got over here the company commander came in and the chaplain. So, and we'll come back for this in a minute, but he's given a fire order. So with the company commander being close, he's managed to get his 1 pin off. So they're going to be shooting across at that unit there. And then this unit's coming on this flank here. And then this platoon commander just shuffled up into the cover there. So just literally just the tanks left for the Germans now. So let's, we've got to do this fire. So we'll just come back and do this shooting. Okay, so again, 7 shots for the MMG. So 6 plus the 1 for Hitler's Buzzsaw. Although they've lost a pin, they've still got a pin, so that's going to be -1. So we're going to need 5s to hit. Just the 2 this time, and again needing 4s for damage because they're shooting at regulars. Just the 1, and then there's no save, so that is going to be 1 pin and 1 casualty on that unit. So it could have been a lot worse, but that pin obviously had a bit of an effect there. Okay, let's go back to the bag. So next dice is American, sorry. So this 76mm Sherman is going to continue its fire support role at the moment. Shoot back over that again at the howitzer. It hasn't moved this time, so we'll need a 4 to hit. No, misses, and it's got its 3 MMG shots. Just the 1, and needing a 4 for damage. Does damage, but they are getting a 2 up save for being down and that hard cover. They do make it, but they do get 1 pin, so that's another pin onto that unit there. Okay, almost done now, so back to the bag. Okay, so it's the last dice out with the 2 German tanks. Both, again, passed their orders to come on from reserves. So the Germans have done really well not to have to really stay off the board. Decided to come on this hard right flank here to just kind of stay away from the Shermans a little bit, and also we've got a lot of infantry to deal with here. I think these would be quite intimidating to deal with. Also, he's got a lot of MMGs. So he's got 2 MMGs, which gives him 8 shots. So he's going to fire that across into that unit there. Can't go down because they're already had an action. Did think about using the big gun, but I think 8 shots is probably better odds doing something. These are all going to be hitting on 5s though. Okay, that's 4 hits, and then I'm going to need 4s for damage. It's regulars. Oh dear, only the 1, not great. So that's 1 casualty and 1 pin. And then we've got the Puma's got again 4 shots with its MMG. Could go for the light AT, but again, trying to get maximum damage again, hitting on 5s. Just the 1, and then needing a 4 to kill. Does kill, so that's 2 separate attacks. That's going to be 2 pins and 2 casualties. And also, I did forgot to do the morale check on this heavy machine gun. I know that was a while ago, but they did lose 2 out of the 4. So I'll just do that now live. So they are the regular troops, so there are 9 normally. Platoon commander's in range. Adds his 2 on, makes them 11. So yes, they're going to need, well, I think they should be fine. Yeah, they're going to be fine. They didn't break. Okay, so that's the end of turn 2. So yeah, Americans have made a really hard push across the line now. Taking a few casualties. I've got to take those 2 off in a second. And the Shermans are intact, which is good. And this right flank again is advancing. But now the Germans have come on in force. We've really got this left flank now. 2 solid units of veteran Fallschirmjägers there. Pack 40's under a bit of fire, but still intact. A few casualties and some pins are coming across the centre here, but again, nothing's broken yet. And now we've got 2 tanks and a unit of Fallschirmjäger. So the Germans are looking okay in a defensive posture. Remember, they've got to occupy this zone at the end. So let's see how we get on into turn 3. Right, so start of turn 3, first dice out was American. It didn't go particularly well. So the company commander called a snap to action, could get 4 units in his range. Basically gave this unit a run order to try and get into that building. These an advance order to come through the trees. This unit here a run order, these are over here to run into that building. And then the bazooka team down here to shoot across at the Panther tank. Now, that all sounds great, but these had 3 pins, so I needed to get them out of the way first to give line of sight for the bazooka before these guys moved. Rolled an 11. So these were their leadership, their morale is 9, down to 6 because of the 3 pins. The company commander added 4 back on to make it 10, but I rolled that 11. So they failed their order, so they had to go down. So they basically blocked the line of sight here. So anyway, so these have had to move anyway. The commander's actually moved into that building. These have got into there, but the main bit was trying to get a shot off of the Panther, which I can't do now. But I have got a line of sight across to that weapons team there, to the MMG. So just going to give it a go. Just in range. It's going to need a 4 to hit though. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so do hit that MMG team. It's going to be a 2 to wound for damage, which they do. And then the Germans will get a 2 up cover save though, for being down, because they are still dug in and behind the hill, which they make. But there's a pin onto that unit there. Okay, so not the greatest of starts to the turn. Light units now exposed to some firepower, but let's get back to the bag, see what's next. But apologies before I do that, I did forget these did advance. So they were going to shoot across at this Fallschirmjäger unit. I forgot about that. So anyway, we'll do that now then. So quite a lot of firepower. They are going to get soft cover from this tree. They're not going to make any down orders or anything, so I think they can try and survive this with their veteran status. So start off with the SMG on the sergeants. There's 2 dice going to be hitting on 4s because although he's moved, it's an assault weapon, so he can move and shoot. So these need 4s. Just 1, so that's 1 hit from him. And then we've got 2 BARs, and we've got then 9 rifle shots because there's 7 rifles in there, and they get their fire and manoeuvre special rule, being American. So for every 3 men firing rifles or carbines, you get an extra dice. So there's 7 firing, so we get an extra 2, so that's 9. So that's going to be another 13 shots. but these are all hitting on 5s. If I can get them all in my hand. Oh, it's pretty woeful, isn't it? 1 out of all that. Okay, so it's just the 2 hits. And then we got 5s to wound because they are veterans. Can't even wound. But they did hit, so just going to get a pin on them. Okay, so back to the bag. Okay, some more American dice out of the bag, but again, not having the best of luck in turn 3. So this platoon commander called a snap, so just give myself an advance order. Thought double team the Pack 40 with the 2 mortars. So give a fire order to the medium mortar, fire order to the light mortar. But as you know, I haven't been doing it on camera actually, but I have to roll to see if they've got any ammo. So if I rolled a 1, they don't. So far, the Americans haven't had a huge amount of shooting anyway, but I haven't rolled a 1 until now. So the light mortar rolled a 1. So although he's been given a fire order, clearly scrambling around, couldn't see any rounds in their bags. So they're having to scurry off to find some more. Luckily, the medium mortar can still shoot. Okay, so it is a 5 required. So let's see if they can hit this time. They do hit though. That's something. Okay, so now they are down because they're dug in. So it's only going to be a maximum 2 that I can hit rounding up. So it's going to be 2s because it's plus 2 pen. Pen. So it's 2 killed though because you get no cover from indirect fire, and that's now zeroed in. So at least that's something. So the Pack 40's taken a hit and 2 guys have gone down. Okay, so some success for the Americans then. Okay, so back to the bag. And before I forget, these will have to check their morale because they lost 2 casualties, so there's 4 guys down to 2. They also took 2 pins. I've rolled it after I turned the camera off, but got 2 pins on them as well. So they're down to a 7 for their morale, but they have got a platoon commander here, so they're back up to their 9. So just need a 9 or less, which they're fine. So they don't break. That was a 4. So, yeah, caught that. That's fine. So back to the bag. Well, yet more American dice, so really are looking out here getting these dice out early. It's whether they can do enough damage to make the difference. So on this side now, this whole airborne platoon is advanced. So the order came out for the platoon commander who gave a snap to action. So these advanced, this airborne unit here, so they could shoot, and they're going to shoot across at that unit. Umdenard about going down, because there's lots of firepower coming in here. There's lots of SMGs in range. But these are veterans, and they've got a lot of firepower in turn. There's a lot of assault rifles, and the LMG there potentially could chip off a few of the riflemen. So I think we're going to hold out and just return fire, I think. And then this unit just ran up into the cover of the trees. And then the platoon commander just moved up on the hill. He can actually get a shot across as well. So I haven't checked his range yet, but potentially can get a shot. So let's, I'll come back and do the shooting for this unit now. Right, so we'll start with the SMG. So they're hitting on 4s. There's 5 SMGs, so that's 10 shots hitting on 4s. That's pretty good. So that is 4, 5, 6. And then I've got, there's a BAR. I'll just do these separately. So these on 5s. No, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4 rifles. So you get the extra dice as well for fire and manoeuvre. So 5 at 5s as well. Nothing. So just the SMGs causing the damage. So that's 6 hits. So 5 ups because they are veterans for damage. That is 3 killed. Okay, and a pin. So actually that didn't work out too bad for them. And then I'll just quickly do. He was in range, but they will be getting soft cover for the tree. So he's getting 2 shots on 4s. Just the 1 needs that 5. No. So that is a pin though. Okay, so let me just mark all that up and go back to the bag. So another American dice. I have double checked. There definitely are German dice in the dice bag. And I'm really giving them a good shuffle before I put my hand in there. So anyway, yeah, anyway, it is what it is. So the Sherman here is going to fire over at the MMG team. So again, we've got the HE round coming in hot on a 4-up. Does hit. Need there's only 2 men left, and again because they're down, they effectively have to halve it up, so it's just 1. So I need to roll a 2 or more. Do so that's, but they do get a cover save. So that's going to be a 2-up because again they're down and behind the hill. but they rolled the 1. That's not what they needed. So that's 1 down. D2 pins, 1 pin. And then we got the 3 MMG shots as well, hitting on 4s as well. Just the 1, and then needing a 5 up because they're veterans. They do that as well. So again, can this wipe them out? Don't roll a 1 basically. No, he's fine. So yeah, 1 pin, and they're down to 1 man. So that's a good success as well. Right, back to the bag. So also they need to set a morale check because they've lost 50% again because they're down to 1. These are veterans, so they are stubborn, and the company commander's in range, so they will need. Then basically they'll only fail on a 12, so they're fine. Okay, back to the bag. Okay, so finally a German dice has come out of the bag. I told you that they were in there somewhere. So this platoon commander is called a snap to action. So just advance that unit into the tree line so they can now shoot. And then they gave these guys a fire order, passive order check to lost 1 pin. So a lot of firepower coming into this unit here. Can't go down. It was always a bit of a risk, but the Americans had to push hard to get into this side of the board. So a lot of shots coming back this way though. Let's see how we get on. Right, so start with the unit that advanced. So we've got 5 assault rifles. So again, they're not getting the penalty for moving, so they're still hitting on 4s, but they are now in close range, in point blank. So they're actually hitting on 2s. This could be bad. So it's 10 shots on 2s. That's 9 hits. They're going to need 5s though, because they are veterans. Oh, that's pretty grim, isn't it? Okay, that's 5 down already. Oh, this isn't looking good for the airborne. Feels like they're running into a bit of a trap here. So then we've got the LMG, which is 4 shots normally, but because of Hitler's buzzsaw, the 1. And then we've got 3 rifles. Okay, these are all hitting on 3s, because again they're 5s because they moved, plus 2 because they're in point blank. So 3s, that's another 4 hits there. And then again 5s to kill. Oh, another 2. So that is 7 killed out of that squad. So they will be testing their morale. They are stubborn as well, so it's going to be all the commanders there. So yes, so again 11s. They're on 11 for morale at the moment, so they're fine. So they're going to hold, but a lot of their buddies have just bit the diet or the snow even. And we've got this unit here to fire as well. So let's see how we get on with that. Right, so this squad is getting the fire order. So again, there's 5 assault rifles in there. They're not in point blank, so would be 4s, but they are pinned. So they get +1, so that means they're hitting on 5s. So not quite as good. So 5s and 5s. Okay, that's amazing, but good enough. And 5s. Just the 1. And then we've got the LMG, basically, which is going to be 5 shots on 5s. And then 5s. Yeah. So taking out the final 2 and another pin. I'll just double check what I'm doing here because I'm down to 1 man. So I'm just double check. I can't remember quite whether there's something extra I need to do here. Let me double check. No, I couldn't see anything specific about it, just having 1 person left. Anyway, he's stubborn, so morale. And he's fine. He loves it, in fact. Okay, so that was pretty grim, wasn't it? Okay, so back to the bag. Okay, so another American dice out the bag. I was expecting more German dice, but there we go. So, so this heavy machine gun is going to open up on the Pack 40. I want to try and at least get rid of 1 unit in this turn if we can. So it's still got 2 guys left, so it's not impacted yet in terms of its shooting ability. So it's going to be hitting on 4s. And these are down still because they are still dug in. So they will be getting a cover save, but obviously the indirect fire they couldn't. They have got a gun shield as well, but that's only effective against small arms. And because it's a heavy machine gun, it's counted as a heavy weapon. Okay, so enough talking. Onto the shooting. 4s to hit. That is 3 hits, and we need. So it's -1 for a heavy because it's a HMG. So they'll be wounding or killing on 3s. That is 2. So they've got 2 5-ups, although that team is gone. No, so they have taken out, the Pat 40 goes down. The final two guys cut to pieces by the 50 cal. You can imagine that pinging off the metalwork and slicing through them. Okay, so at least that's some success on this turn in terms of a unit taken out by the Americans. Right, back to the bag. So the next dice out was German. So the company commander called a snap to action. So gave out a number of fire orders, all passed their order tests. So the light howitzer lost its pin, it's going to fire at that unit in the ruins. This unit in the centre, the MMG lost a pin, going to fire at that unit in the centre. He just moved himself around for his order advance just to keep him in sign, kind of behind the trees. He gave the mortar a fire order as well, and that is at 13 inches, so they can just outside their minimum range of fire. So again, going to plonk a shell onto that unit there, and then finally gave the Puma a fire order. So that's going to shoot its light AT gun this time at that unit there, who are down, but there you go. Okay, so we'll come back and do that shooting. Right, so let's start with this light howitzer. So it's going to be hitting on a 4 with its HE round. It does hit. So I have measured it up earlier, so basically it covers 5 men. Because they're not down, they can't avoid it. So it's going to be 5 damage rolls, and again +2 to pen, so even 2s. So that is 5 damage, but they are going to get 4 up saves because they are in ruins at hard cover, and because it's not indirect fire, they're okay. So these were 4s. Okay, that's pretty good. So there's only 1 casualty out of all of that, and it is D2 pins as well. So they do get 2 pins though. Okay, well, we'll come back for the MMG next. Okay, so 7 shots for the MMG, so again 6 plus the hitless buzzsaw. Because of the pins, it's -1, so they're hitting on 5s. Oh, that's pretty good though, 4, that's above average. And then needing those 4s, because they're regular troops, just a 2. And then 4 ups, because of the cover. Just another 1, so 1 more killed and 1 more pin. Okay, so we'll do the mortar next. Okay, so needing a 6, indirect fire. No. So that will be down to 5 for next turn. Okay, then we're over to the Puma shooting across here. Right, so again, it's going to need a 4 because it stayed stationary. It's light AT gun. No, missed. Okay. Right, okay, so a few casualties coming across the lines and pins, but not as bad as I thought. So back to the bag. And the next task was American. So the 76mm Sherman basically did its turn, and then it's made an advance order through the trees. Because it's rough ground, they can get through the trees, and he's got a nice shot now up at this Force Grumio unit now, because basically abandoned its fire support role, needs to support this flank attack here now. I realise it has moved, so a bit of a long shot, but here we go. So heavy AT gun needs a 5. No, and then we've got the 3 shots from the all-mounted MMG on 5s. No. Okay, but the Germans have just seen a tank crash through the bushes and the trees, so no luck in the shooting side of things. Okay, so over back to the bag. Right, so that was a German dice, so the Panther's going to spring into action. Again, sadly not using its big gun. It's got 8 MMG shots, and these are in the open, so I'm just going to try and whittle these down as much as possible. So it's going to be 8 shots hitting on 4s. I missed 2 somewhere, sorry. That's only 6 shots, isn't it? Oh, there we go. So that is 3 hits. Not the best. And then we've got 4s, because they're regulars, to damage. 2. It says 2 killed and a pin. Okay, so a little bit of damage coming across the Panther, but there we go. Okay, back to the bag. Before we move on, I did realise I paid additional points for the pintle-mounted MMG as well. Now, if you do use your pintle-mounted weapons, the tank becomes open-topped, which can obviously affect it in terms of being pinned by small arms. But as we've now had all the shooting over here, I think it's pretty safe from that perspective. So I've actually got an additional 4 shots into those Americans. So again, hitting on 4s. Oh, crikey, okay. And 4s. Wow, another 3 down. Okay, that was worth doing. Okay, so they're going to need a morale check, so I'll come back to do that. Right, so these were 9 down to 8 because of the pin, but because the company commander is within 12 inches, they get his command modifier, so basically back to 11s. 6, which may sound great for these guys, but I did forget this entire unit moved as well. So when the company commander had a snap to action, these were actually in range as well. And because of the, I can't remember the exact name of the rule, but basically the German commanders get an extra order dice for snap to actions. So it was actually able to order these to advance, and they moved into this building. Forgot all about that, 'cause that's the problem when you're trying to film and do all the dice rolls. It gets a bit confusing, especially when you've been playing for a couple of hours. But anyway, so these are going to fire. Now, I think I would have chosen to shoot these before the Panther did. So I'm going to stick to my guns with that. So they are going to be shooting at this unit here, because that's where they would have started. So I'll come back and do that. Okay, so again, identical squad to the others. So 5 assault rifles hitting on 2s, because although they've moved, they're assault. So 4s stays as 4s, but they are again within point blank. So 2s and 4s to kill. Yeah, still quite a few. 3 misses there, so okay. And then 4s to kill. It's gone. Yeah, they wiped him out. Okay, that squad's dead. Okay, so this is bad news to the Americans now. This whole flank's been blunted on this side. Yeah, okay, back to the bag. Right, so that was the last remaining dice out of the bag. Just a few tidy ups really. So platoon commander here just went down. The chaplain did something. Chaplain took a pin off this guy. He rolled to take the pin off, and he did. So well done, Chaplain. Worth having you on board. This guy just went down as well. And then what was the last one? He said, oh yeah, this American platoon commander just ran across here to try and give support for these. Now they're pinned. And then what was the last dice? Oh yes, this MMG team who hasn't done anything this game already. Again, it's just trying to get your stuff into positions. Not easy sometimes. And finally, now just come into the tree line so they can shoot across here in the next turn. So that's it. So bit of a bad turn for the Americans, I think, overall. Quite, two squads, well, one squad wiped out, one almost wiped out, and that's one of the airborne squads as well. This unit here is pretty badly beaten up as well. These aren't too bad, but lots of pins. They're kind of pinned in that building there. We've got a couple of tanks still dominating this section here. These guys are fine. A few casualties here and there. But overall, I think the Germans are they've got a slight advantage at this stage, this halfway stage of the game, just in terms of their positions and holding the numbers. But it's a game of dice, so you never know what's going to happen. So let's move over to turn 4. Okay, so at the top of turn 4, so first dice out was green, the American, so I gave this, the platoon commander gave a snap to action. Considered charging down into these guys here, but realised I'm in rough ground, so you can only charge 6 inches, and I thought, well, that's probably outside 6. So I thought, well, I'll just give an advance order so I can move out and at least try and engage at least the MMG unit and try and wipe that out and get in the mix around these heavy weapons. And yeah, rolled a 10, and because they've got 2 pins, so they're 9 down to 7. Platoon commander gives them 2 back to 9, so they failed, so they've just gone down. Oh dear. And then the next dice house was grey, so this company commander is just going to snap, give them 5 units fire orders, so these are going to blitz across here now, so this could be quite devastating for the Americans. Let's come back and see how they get on. Also quickly, I did check back on the footage because I thought when I came down to this fire order, I thought, oh, there's only one guy there. I should have had an extra additional -1 to their shooting in the last round. So double check back on the video, and yeah, they didn't actually score any hits. So I did actually take 1 pin off and put 1 casualty back on, which is what was caused by the MMG. So I did clear that up if anybody had spotted that. Right, okay, so over to the light howitzer. It just needs a 4 to hit with its HE round. Doesn't, it misses. Okay, maybe the look's changing. Okay, so let's come across and do the MMG next. Okay, so we're going to 7 shots from the MMG because of Hitler's buzzsaw. It is lost its pin because it passed its order, but it's still -1 because of that issue with the 1 man left. So hitting on 5s, not bad for 1 guy, and wounding on 4s because they're regulars, just the 1. But they will be getting a 2-up save now because The one, I guess, saving grace is they've gone down in hard cover, so they are getting a 2-up save. So just don't roll a 1. No, but they will be getting a pin. What's next? We'll do the mortar next. I say so the mortar's the second time it's shooting, so we wanted a 5. No, okay, so that becomes a 4 if those are in the next round. Okay, so actually they did survive, actually. I'm surprised, but there you go. That's good for Americans. So we'll do the Puma next into that squad there. Right, so the Puma's opting for its MMG again because, yeah, I think it'll do potentially more damage. So needing 4s. Not a 1, not a sausage. Okay. All right, so we'll just got this unit to do. Also, this unit did actually go down when it was targeted by the Puma, so they are down. So they will be getting a 5-up cover save. So who knows? But we have got 10 shots coming in from the assault rifles, hitting on 4s this time because they are outside of point blank. Oh, that's pretty good shooting. I might as well do the damage while I'm going. So there's going to be 4s to damage, to wound. That's not so good. Okay, so that's 2 casualties. So, oh no, I've got 2 saves, haven't I? So 2 saves of 5-up. No, that is 2 casualties so far and a pin. Then we've got the MMG, 5 shots on 4s. 2, and then 4s. 2, and then 2 5-ups. No, that's 4 casualties. It's not looking good. And then what we got left? That was 5, 6. We've got 3 rifles, haven't we? 3 rifles left. 2 hits. 1 casualty, 1 save 5. That down did absolutely nothing. So that is 5 killed and a casualty. Sorry, 5 killed and a pin. So I'll just come back and do their morale check. Okay, so they're 9 down to 5 because of the 4 pins, back to 9 because the commander's there, so needing a 9. 4, they're fine. Okay, so they're not going to run, but they are severely damaged now. This whole flank is pretty much gone. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's see what's next in the bag. Okay, so next was American dice. So just trying to stabilise this flank a bit. So snap to action by the platoon commander who's just moved back round here. This guy who's on his own got a run order because there's a free point for the Germans here, I think, because obviously they get a point for every unit wiped out. So he just ran back round the cover. And then the full unit of Pathfinders just moved into the tree line on an advance order, so they can shoot down against this unit here, which I'll come back and do now. Okay, so there's 6 SMGs in that Pathfinder squad, which are all in range. So they're going to be hitting on 4s because although they've moved, they are assault weapons. So there's 12 shots coming in on 4s. Okay, so it's 2, 4 and 6 hits there. Okay, and then we've got 4 rifles, so we're getting the fire manoeuvre special rule as well. So it's 4 plus an additional 1. So that's 5 on 5s. Another 2, so that is a total of 8 hits, not bad. But now the crucial bit comes into play. Need to get those 5s to wound. Just 1. Grim. And they do get a cover save as well, so they are in soft cover, so 5 up. No, so 1 casualty and 1 pin. Okay, so back to the bag. Right, so next dice was American. I made a bit of an error here though. I give, so the company commander did a snap to action, basically moved himself back out of range because he's just concerned about if a big sort of 3-4 inch template comes in here, he's going to be hit as well. Gave the bazooka a fire order against the Panther. Then as soon as I'd done it, I thought to myself, I bet that's out of range, and it was just out of range. And I'm not going to cheat and pretend or change targets. It is what it is. So yeah, that's bolt action for you. You can't pre-measure. So the poor bazooka team missed by a mile. Oh dear. Okay, right back to the bag. Right, so that was a German dice. It's time to start thinking about the game now, into the final stages. So this platoon commander called a snap to action, just moved himself back into cover. These actually moved off the tree line, back behind this dense terrain, because to be honest, we've got the Sherman across there, could just shoot at them, and didn't want to give them a free target. Again, they're scoring points for being in their deployment zone, and then this unit had an advance order and moved into these ruins. so they can shoot up here. Both of them passed their orders, so they've lost their pin markers as well. So we'll come back and do a bit of shooting with this unit here. Right, so once again, these are in point blank range. So we've got 5 assault rifles, so no penalty for moving. So hitting on 4s becomes 2s. Yeah, pretty good. And then 5s for damage. Okay, not too bad. That's 2, but they are getting a 5-up cover save for being in the trees. No, so that is 2 casualties so far. And then we've got the LMG, so that's again 5 shots. Hit the buzzsaw, but again 3s because it moved, but it's in point blank. Okay, only 1 hit and then a 5 required. Does. Can they make the 5 up? No, that is 3 casualties on that Pathfinder squad. 3 down and a pin. Okay, so back to the bag. Right, so American dice. So this MMG team on turn 4 is going to fire across at the light howitzer. So it's going to be hitting on 4s. So they moved. Pretty decent, but it's needing 4s to damage because they're regulars. Okay, 4, but they are in cover. They're getting cover from the building, and they are also still dug in, so I'll get in 2s. There it is. There is 1 more casualty on there, and the pin. Okay, back to the bag. And once again, before I forget, I've got to do the morale check. But he is in command range of the company commander, so they are basically 11 or less, basically. Oh, did you? Yeah, okay, they should be all right. Let me just double check that. So they are 9 down to 8, plus 4 is 12, but the maximum morale is 11, so they've just hung in there. All right, back to the bag. Pins, what pins? Grey dice, Chaplain, roll a 5, remove that pin. So again, Chaplin's done 2 things this game for free. Right, back to the bag. Right, only a few left there for the dice bag. So it was American dice. So this platoon commander called a snap to action. I did his run order last because, again, trying to think about points here. Can I get some units in that? I mean, it's looking difficult for the Americans now, but he's going to push across the road, see what he can do. But before he went, he gave a fire order to these, a fire order to these. These are the 2 mortars. And once again, I've rolled a 1 for ammunition, but this time for the medium mortar. Oh dear. And then but the light mortar can fire. Right, so let's come back and do that. Right, so needing that 6. By the way, they are shooting up the road at that building there where those Volkscom Jaeger are. So needing that 6. No. Okay, so back to the dice bag. Right, so American dice. So the Sherman that was up here has just pulled out into the road, swiveled its turret. It's going to fire its HE shot at the building there, the ruins, and its hull-mounted MG is going to cross at the light howitzer again. So try and do this live. So I'm just knocking the models around. Okay, so we've got a HE shot hitting on 5 because it's moved. Does hit though. Okay, I did have a look at the template. It covers 5 models in that tightly packed building. So these are damaging on 3s because it's plus 2 pen, and they are veterans. Wow, all of them. But they will be getting a cover save of 4 up because of the being in ruins. They say 3, so 2 down, and then it's D2 pins. So with 1 pin, so 1 pin and 2 down, and then it's got its 3 hull-mounted shots across here. Again, they're on 5s. Oops, with a 6, so that's 2 hits, and then 4s because they are regulars. That is 2. Now this time, all they're getting is they're not getting the save from the hill cover, but they are getting their gun shield. That gives them soft cover, so these are going to be saving on 3s. That's it, they're gone. So that does kill the light howitzer. So the Sherman has finally done something useful. So that's gone, and they've got those 2 casualties and the pin. Okay, back to the bag. Right, so that was the last dice out of the bag. So started off with the Panther, decided to ignore what's going on over here because really there's enough to deal with what's there. So decided to swivel around and run that way because obviously got some Shermans over there, and who wants to be sitting on the sidelines for the whole game? Just a couple of turns to go, so it's just moved across, and then basically that HMG team did a run order up to here, no targets, and again trying to think about points in the last couple of turns. And then finally the 76mm Sherman just came out of the trees on a run order, has advanced up here. So those got no targets, it's getting close to their deployment zone. So it's, yeah, it's going to be tight. I mean, the Germans have now lost an MMG team, the light howitzer and the pack 40, but only a few casualties on the infantry, whereas the Americans have lost a whole squad, almost a whole squad of airborne. Most of that squad over there is gone. So starting to look a little bit light on the ground for infantry. But I still think the game's not done yet. So let's see how we got on in turn 5. Right, so turn 5 has started. First dice out was green, so American. Does feel like with these, when you get to these later stages of these games, that every decision counts. So I've gone for this Sherman here, who's going to shoot at the Panther. He's got line of sight, and he hasn't moved, so we'll be getting that +1 for the AT round. And also, I didn't realise, but when I moved that Panther, but I've actually put him in the side armour as well. So not great thinking when I was moving the Panther around, but there we go. So it's going to be so yeah, AT is going to go after the Panther, and then the MMG is going to go after that MMG squad down there. Also, quickly, these guys kept their down order, so they've lost all their pins. Again, thought long and hard about that, but they are in cover and we're down. But trying to do something with 3 pins is always difficult. So anyway, so let's see if we can get the let's see if this Sherman can take all the glory and take out the Panther. So first of all, need to hit. So we're needing a 3. I've probably talked this up too much now. There it is. Side armour, so it's 9+. It's a 5+ pen, so I need at least a 4 to do some damage. Ah, glancing hit. Okay, so I think it takes a pin though, doesn't it? So it's going to take a pin, and then we get the 3 MMGs. Oh, so close. Anyway, it's like if anybody watched the film Battle of the Bulge, just like in that film, the Shermans were pinging off the German armour. Okay, so 3 shots hitting on 4s. Just the 1, and then a 5 up because they are veterans. No, but they will get a pin. Okay, not a bad start for the Americans, but not quite the result they wanted. Okay, back to the bag. Right, so the next dice out was German, but you might notice there's something missing from this edge of the table here. So first off, the company commander called a snap to action. So being German, he can call an extra dice, so 5 orders. So ordered the MG team to fire, and they lost their pin mark. These to fire, this to fire, the Puma, that unit to fire, and the Panther to fire. Back at the Sherman, but because it had a pin, it had to roll for its order, and foobarred. It was ridiculous, to be honest. So, and then basically rolled the panic, so it's gone off the board because it was only sitting here. So yeah, so that's the fun of bolt action. But clearly rattled by a little Sherman tank hitting it with a golf ball, basically. But there you go, that's the game. So that's an interesting twist. Maybe that'll help the Americans to get a bit of luck in this game. So we'll come back and we'll do all this shooting. Right, straight over to the MMG. So 7 shots hitting on 5s because there's the 1 guy left. That's 2 hits, and then 4s because they're normal troops. Yep, 4s, and then 2 ups because they're down and in hard cover. Oh, casualty. So take a casualty and a pin. Okay, we'll come back for the mortar. Right, so needing a 4 this time. Oh, it does hit. It's going to hit 5 of them, so it's going to be 2s. No. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, I need to re-roll that because it's halved, isn't it? So 3 damages, so 2s. Is that fair? Yeah, I think that wasn't fair. So I think I'll take 2 casualties because of how the dice roll was. So yeah, 2 there, and also what I meant there was I rolled pretty high on for the roll, so I thought it was unfair to then roll 2 ones. So and then D2 pins as well. It's just 2 pins as well, extra 2 pins. Did they panic? No, they're okay at the moment. So coming across here. Okay, so the Puma's just fired its MMG again, so 4 shots hitting on 4s, 3 hits, needing 4s. There you go, wiped out. So that unit is wiped. So these will fire across there. So let's come back for that. Let's just roll these in batches. So we've got the assault rifles first. So these are 10 shots hitting on 4s. By the way, they went down, the bazooka team. Okay, so that is 4 hits there. I'll do the damage rolls as well. So these are going to be 4s because they're... Oh no, these are actually 5s because they are... Yeah, they're paratroopers, aren't they? So these are going to be 5s, the veterans. That is 2. That's 2 damage so far. Then we've got the LMG hitting on 4s. And then 5s. That's another 1. And then we've got 3 rifles as well, hitting on 4s and 5s. So that is 4 hits, so 4 damage. So we've got 4 saves of 2 up because they're in ruins. So that's hardcover plus down, so 2 ups. Okay, it's 1 down. So the loader goes and they get a pin. Okay, so that's the end of that. So it could have been worse. But they have lost another squad, but the tank's gone as well. So, kind of even Stevens, I guess. Okay, so back to the bag. Just quickly, I'm just do the panic check here as well for this guy, morale check, so he's fine. And then there was a green dice that came out, so snap to action from the company commander, ordered the medium mortar to fire and the light mortar, both rolled, and they both were fine for ammunition. So he's going after the unit there again, so he's already on 5 to hit. They've gone down because again they just need to try and hold. Again, this is all points now. So we're going to need a 5. See if I hit. Nope, so that becomes a 4 next turn. And then over here the light mortar's firing across at the unit in that building. So we're going to need a 6. This is the first time we're shooting. Oop. No, anything but a 6. Okay, so yeah, back to the bag. Again, apologies, just quickly, I got that wrong. It was actually the light mortar had fired because it was the blue dice, wasn't it? So, so I just swapped it around. It didn't matter because it didn't hit anyway. So now they're hitting on a 4 next turn because they started on 5s because they've got line of sight across. And then the medium mortar was going to have to go after that. So that's now going to be a 5 next turn for the medium mortar. So just clearing that up. Right, back to the bag. Right, so it's all getting very tight down here. So took a decision. The next dice out was German. So this platoon commander called a snap to action. So this Sherman's obviously trundling up the field trying to get after these. So they're just trying to move back a little bit away from the tree line. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I've tactically positioned them correctly now because obviously they're not doing anything really apart from just potentially being cannon fodder, literally. Because the Sherman then came out next with that order, so came through the trees. Yeah, so we'll have to see. So, but anyway, the Sherman's going to be shooting at these, so we'll come back for that. Right, so we'll start off with the AT gun. So that's going to be hitting on a 4 because although it's moved, it's a 5, but it's in point blank. Oh, so it's actually 3, isn't it? Yes, it's going to be a 3 to hit because of the point blank range. So let's see how we get on. Amazing. Right, okay, maybe the he's still wiping some of the snow from his eyes as he's crashed through those trees. But he has got his MMG, so that's again 3 shots hitting on 3s. 2 hits and then 5 ups. Okay, 2 killed. So that's 2 casualties and a pin marker. Okay, back to the bag. Okay, so it's with American dice. So the platoon commander here pulled out a snap to action. He's just advanced himself up into the tree line there so he can get shots down onto that unit there. Gave the Pathfinders a fire order to shoot down as well, and gave the MMG team a fire order to shoot across at the MMG team over there, just behind the ruins. So let's start with the Pathfinders. So there's 5 guys there with SMGs that are in close range. So these we're hitting on 2s. That is all of them. And then 5s because they're shooting at veterans. That's pretty good actually. That is 4, 5. And then we've got another SMG and a rifle hitting on 4s. No. So 5 damage. So we've got 5 saves. They are down and in ruin, so they are 2s. For those 1s. Oh, they saved them all. Okay, but there's another pin on that unit. We might as well do the... We'll do the platoon commander as well. So he's not in close range, so he's moved, but his assault weapon, so it's 4s. Both hit. And 5s. No. Okay, so we'll come back for the MMG. Right, so the MMG's hitting on 4s. I need 2, and needing 5s. Just the 1. Can these save? Again, it's a 2 up because of the hill, and they are still dug in. They can, but another pin onto that unit as well. Okay, so back to the bag. So that was the last dice out. So this lone chap down here from that unit just moved into the tree line, shot down at those again. I didn't bother filming that, but he did get a pin on there. And then over here, these 2 platoon commanders have just shifted themselves around here. I think that was all the American movement, yeah. And then the chaplain once again took a pin marker off that unit there, so it's been keeping them happy. Oh, no, there was movement. So the HMG team that was down here, the 50 cal team, gave a run order, and they've moved up into this ruin now, so they are occupying that ruin. Obviously can't shoot this turn, but they are now in the Germans' deployment zone. So it's a first scoring unit in. Oh, and there's tanks as well, so the tanks in there as well. So a couple of scoring units now in the German sector. So it's very tight, this. I thought the Germans had this, but this could go either way now, I think. Let's see how this next 6th turn goes, and this could be the last turn as well. So over to turn 6. So we're off and running in turn 6, and the first dice was German, so they get the advantage. So taking the advantage to maximise the number of orders in the first go, so the commanders took out a snap to action, ordered these guys to advance out of the building, because they're not in the scoring zone, they are now, and they can get a shot across at the light mortar. The Puma's going after the bazooka guy, who isn't going down, he's going to ride his luck. And then we've got the mortar team, is zeroed in. Now these did actually take their down order off, because they wanted to, I was hoping to, obviously potentially get the first dice, and they would potentially come out, but they've had to go down again, so that scuppers them a little bit from trying to score any points in this 6th turn, so they'll need this to go to a 7th turn. And also this unit here is firing up there as well, so lots of permutations going on here. So let's start off with the MMG. Right, oh, by the way, I did forget in the last turn again, Chaplain took that pin marker off. So he's been basically, they're getting pinned, he takes one off, they get pinned. So he's done it 3 times now, so he's been a nice little addition to that unit, keeping him in the game in some respects. So 7 shots, hitting on 5s because it's down to 1 man. Oh, that's pretty good again, 4 hits, that's above average. He's doing well for a lone guy. And then 4s because they're regulars. Oh, that could be brutal. 4 wounded. Can they save? No, 2 go. Oh, dearie me, and a pin. Right, so not a great start to that turn. So that's 1 down, 2 down, and another pin. So we'll do the where is it? We'll do the mortar next, yeah. Right, so these are zeroed in, so needing that 2, which they do get. And they do cover all 4 guys that are left, so on 2s. Wow. So they are, oh no, it's, oh, once again I've done that wrong because it's halving it, isn't it? So, so they would have hit 2. Yeah, so we'll call it 2. So they've lost 2 out of that. And D2 pins. 2 pins as well. So they've lost 2 guys. And another 2 pins. That's going to cause a morale check. So let me just put the other pins on, I'll come back. Yeah, so their morale is 9, less 6, give them down to 3, plus 2 for the platoon commander, back to 5. Need to roll low. No, they're gone. Okay, so they skedaddle, which, if it was me, I'd do the same. Absolutely been hammered in this turn. So that's another American unit gone. So back to the bag. Oh, no, not. We've got this to do. Yes, sorry, we've got to do these yet. Do them next. Right, so light AT gun loaded, shoots across at the bazooka team, hitting on a 4. Doesn't. He survives. Okay, so we'll do this unit now as well. So the only thing in range from this squad is the LMG, so that's going to shoot its 5 shots across at the light mortar teams, hitting it on 5s because they moved. Just the 1, and then needing at 5, yeah, because they are paratroopers. They do get it. But they are getting a 4-up save for being in cover. No, so they drop a member of that team as well. And that's a morale check. Yeah, they're fine. Okay, so, but there will be a pin on them as well. Right, so American dice. So the company commander who was here did a snap to action, He's actually gave himself a run order, so he's run over to here. But before he left, he gave the bazooka team a fire order, and they passed their order and lost the pin, and also didn't roll a 1 for ammo, so they got some ammo. Going to be shooting at the Puma. And then 2 fire orders to the mortar teams again. But once again, the medium mortar team didn't have any ammunition. They've left it behind somewhere. They've not got back from Bastogne, so they're dry at the moment. It's only the light mortar can fire again. So he's going to lob another round across over to here. They're not going to go down because, again, they can't score in that building. They're not in the deployment zone. They're going to have to move, so taking a bit of a risk. But we'll see how we get on. So we'll do that first, needing a 4. It does hit. Now, it does hit 4 of them. Now, it's only +1 pen, so it will be 4s for damage. So only takes out 1, and it's D2 pins. Just the 1. So it could have been a lot worse. So 1 man down and another pin. And then we'll come back and do the bazooka. So here we go. Can this lone bazooka guy take out the Puma? He's going to need a 5 because he's on his own. So he's -1 to his shot. Yes, he does hit though. Okay, so light tank. So it's 8 plus armour. A bazooka is +5 pen. So just needing a 3 to do some damage. This is where I roll a 1 or a 2. And there we go. I told you. So again, just pings off the armour. Never mind. Okay. So, but we'll get a pin on it anyway. Okay, I think that's all that shooting. So back to the bag. Right, so next dice was American. So the Sherman here is going to shoot at this unit here who's gone down. They won't get cover save, but it's just going to halve the hits because they're in point blank range. And the MMG is going after the platoon commander who'll get a bit of cover from these guys as well. So, okay, so we're going to need a 2 to hit here because it's in point blank, which he just about does. He is covering 5, but it's going to be rounded to 3 because of the down order. And these need 3s. So that's 2 killed. And D2 pins. 2 pins. Okay, so we'll come up for that, and then we'll do the 3 shots there. Yeah, and that's hitting on, not in point blank, so there's going to be 4s. 2 hits and then 5s. Just the 1. Gets a cover save, so he's down as well. So be saving on a soft cover 5, so be 3. Which he does make, but he has got a pin on him. Okay, so I'll do that and get back to the bag. Right, so quite a lot's happened there, and the Americans have made their move, basically. So this unit's come down off the hill into here. So the platoon commanders run across to there, and that lone surviving member of that squad's moved to there, and the other Shermans come down here. So we've now got quite a few scoring units in the German deployment zone. This unit did try to shoot one of these. This was the danger, that they'd end up killing one of these and getting a point, but they have got 5 pins, and although they're stubborn, that doesn't work for orders, that's only for morale checks. So they're down to 5 and they've rolled a 7, so they've felt their order gone down. And then I've just stopped the camera because this platoon commander's come out next, and he's just moved into the trees. He has got an SMG, and he's just going to try and shoot his platoon commander. It's actually Ronald Spears, but he's not for the game anyway. So let's just see how that plays out. So although he's got an SMG, so it doesn't matter who's moved. He's in point blank, so it's going to be 2s. There's 2 hits, and he needs 5, so he needs that again, because he is a veteran. Gets 1 hit, so that does kill. That does kill him, so that's a point to the Germans, so that was worth doing. Oh, God, could that make the difference? Don't know. Let's see what happens next dice out the bag. Okay, revenge is sweet, as they always say. So this next dice out was American, so the HMG team locked and loaded the 50 cal are going to shoot at this platoon commander. So he's a regular as well. So anyway, we've got 6 shots hitting on 2s because we are in close range as well. Okay, and then we need 4s. We will get a cover save. Only 1. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, he needs a 5 up and a dice to survive. He does as well. Okay, that German commander survives. He got a pin, but he's just survived. I thought he'd be cut down then, but there you go. He must be ducking well between the trees. Right, back to the bag. Hold my horses. It's a HMG, +1 to pen. So I just went back on the camera. I did roll a 4 and a 3, so the 3 would have counted as well. So he does need to roll 1 more dice Does need one more 5 to survive. Here we go. No, so he does go down. Okay, that's fair because I did check on the camera. So fine, so he goes down. So back to the dice bag. Right, so that's the end of turn 6. So just the final bits of movement. So these 2 platoon commanders came down off around for the back of there on run orders, and the MMG team also came down on a run order. And the chaplain just scooted around there and he went down. So that's the end of turn 6. That could potentially be the end of the game. Just need to top up the points. So the Germans get 1 point for every unit in their deployment zone, and 1 for every US unit destroyed. So they've destroyed 4 units, that's 4 points. So 5, 6, they're out. 7, he doesn't count. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points for the Germans. And the Americans get 2 points for everyone in the deployment zone. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, they're just out. 10, 12, 14. So they are 2 clear victory points at the moment. So they do win the game if this game ends. I haven't got a dice handy. Let me just grab one. I'll grab a neutral dice for the sake of the roll. So on a 1 to 2 or 3, the game ends. On a roll of 4, 5 or 6, we go to 1 final and last turn. So let's see how we get on. 1, 2, 3, it ends. It does. So it's an American victory. Let me just come back for a quick wrap up. Right, well, hopefully you all enjoyed that. I thought it was a cracking game. I'm really enjoying these Battle of the Bulge scenarios. Some nice little twists to the game. I did think the Germans were going to hold out. I just thought they had too much strength down here for the Americans to push through. As soon as this side started to collapse, I thought, oh, this is going to be very difficult now for the Americans to break through. But that's the dice game for you. Things start to shift. I mean, this Panther tank foobarring was possibly critical. It was going to be obviously difficult to shift and had a lot of firepower. Could have easily taken out a Sherman or 2 if he got in range. So that was probably a bit of luck for the Americans. And again, this side was holding out. Then suddenly, I think once this Sherman got involved and was able to move up and crash through the lines, it's going to be very difficult for the Germans to hang on here as well, because you had the veteran paratroopers coming through. So yeah, and I think it's a bit of a cheesy end, I suppose, just using single models as units, but they are technically a unit. So as you can see, one died very quickly down here when he was exposed. So I suppose it swings and roundabouts in that respect, and it could have gone to a 7th turn, and if so, then these are all very vulnerable. So I think overall, pleased for the Americans, because they've had a hard time of it in the Battle of the Bulge. So at least they've managed to counter-attack along the line here. It's a narrow victory, it's not a huge victory. It's very narrow, and the Germans have fought really well and hung on to their area really quite well, actually. In fact, not a lot's been destroyed. More Americans have gone down in terms of numbers of men, but it's units that count for the victory points. So that's it. That's the end of that scenario. Really enjoyed it. Hope you did as well. Got the next couple of lined up to do. I think it's Foy next. Might be Battle of Foy next, which again was in Band of Brothers. So we'll see how we get on with that one. Usual stuff, guys. If you leave any comments, I think I've got most of the rules right. Any comments, likes, all that usual stuff would be great. And catch you all very, very soon.